all of this rolls up together, and that, like, what do you want to get out of this? You want a restaurant group where and I'm making tons and tons of money, or do you want to have one restaurant that makes a tiny bit of money? And I think that the way that we've approached employees, and we've learned a lot of lessons over the years, starting from scratch, just not just from scratch as a business, but like as our knowledge of how to maintain and keep employees happy. We've made a million mistakes along the way. We've done a million things wrong. But I think that one thing that we, if not do, that we really, really, really try to do is keep people happy. And over the years, I feel like we've gotten better at it. And the only reason I can say that is because, what we see as far as retention. And when I walk into the restaurant, and I don't know if it's just they're just putting on a show for me, but they all look so happy, And
Right.
but I love them all. Like it's like they're my favorite people. And a lot of them have been there for. We have employees that have been there since we opened 11 years ago, and so and we have employees that come back. And that always like really this is like that's warms my heart. It's just like they leave and you're like, oh, I'm sorry to see you go, and then a couple years later they come back. Maybe they just fill in for a season, or they come back and work a little bit, but they come back. And I think that people love working there, and we try to make it a great place. When we designed the restaurant, I intentionally had a lot of sunlight involved. Like all the prep happens up front, and it's extremely bright and well lit up there. And so it's just a nice place to work. You're not in the back with a low ceiling, just trying to get it done. You're out in the air, and everybody can see you. Like, and I don't know if a lot of people understand this, but when you come into the restaurant, that prep area up front, that's it. That's where it all happens. It's like a stage, like it's almost elevated or on two sides. It's elevated, so you're looking down into it, and you can see everything that's happening there. And that's where all the prep happens, 100%. And so in the back is just an office, a dishwasher, and a walk-in. That's where we store everything. And so we try to make it just like a really nice, pleasant place to be, and try to listen to our employees as much as we can. Not out of like some kind of like, well, that's how you get the most work out of them. It's just because it seems like the right thing to do, and just like happy people make good food, and then it all works a lot better. And so we do, I think, take a lot of that into consideration. We try to do as right as we can by them, and so that's not something that's ever discussed or even brought up. So, but I'm really proud of that, and I hope that all of them would agree with that sentiment. So, at least it's how I feel.
When, maybe taking this from the perspective of, sharing some advice with a fictional restaurant owner, what what are some of the things outside of logistics that you have created in the environment that your employees work in that also helps to elevate their experience? And that could be anything from, you know, we talked about the real estate, but what are some of the things that maybe you do just on an interpersonal level that help with that?
And the understanding is that they're not going to work there forever, and I want them. There's some goals I want to meet for when they don't work there. I want them to leave in a mutually happy way. Like I want them to be like, I hate to leave, but I have this opportunity, and I'm going to go do that. And I want to be so proud of being able to participate in their process. And so I start with that. Like if I can feel like that, then I'm able to help them the most. And the executive chef there, she's been there for 11 years, and I love her dearly. We work together very well. And we have what we call is the two-way street policy, and that is that if this thing gets out of balance, it doesn't work. It's like we need them to work very hard and be diligent, and take accountability, and keep an eye on things, and so just work really hard. But we also owe them a lot. in return, not just a paycheck. We owe them an education. And so we have this policy of we have no trade secrets. There's no ideas or skills that we possess that we're not willing to share with them always. Like, so always I will tell them everything I know about something. And I hope that they retain that and that they become better. Like one day, I would hope, to hear them on a podcast in 10 years and being like, oh, this was formative for me, was working at that do it. And so it's, it's maintaining that attitude, and just always like, I want them to learn continually. And so we have some programs, all of our back of house managers, if it be it, pastry chef or sous chef or butcher shop manager, every month. I love cookbooks. I mean, I love, actually, more than that, I love it when people buy cookbooks, because I have 3 of them.
Uh-huh.
And so we buy them a cookbook every month. And so, if you work there for a while, you have a cookbook collection.
Yeah.
You put in 5 years, that's 60 cookbooks that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have up. And so I insist. I'm like, every month, put in your order. What do you want? I'm buying you a cookbook. So we buy them a cookbook. And we also have this thing called the dining club, and it's my fault. I'm supposed to do it with more frequency, but I come up with a thing. It's supposed to be more frequent, but I try to keep it as frequent as possible. I come up with an assignment. It's hard to describe what it is because it can be all over the place. This month, we did last meal, like,
Yep.
and so there's not really anything more involved than just like take a few minutes and tell us. And I went first. I'm like, this is what I would eat for my last meal. And then we put it on a Google chat, and so we're all sitting there kind of making fun of each other, and like, or like, oh, that's cool, that's fine, just doing that. In times past, it's been like, hey, I want you to go to this taqueria, and I want you to, here's a $25 gift certificate to go there, and I want you to notice how the onions are diced. They're perfect. They're like, I mean, like French Michelin, like, like perfect brunoise on these onions. It's like, tell me more about that. Tell me why on a taco it's necessary to do this, or why they're bothering to do that. Like what do you get out of that? Kind of, just put it in there. Or one time we all went and I had every one of them kill a chicken. And then, we took the blood and made a blood cake out of it, cooked it up, ate some chicken, and then each one of them took a chicken home. And then the next assignment was for them to roast it and kind of report back about it. Some people were like, oh, this was amazing. Some people cried their eyes out when they killed that chicken, but every single one of them got a lot out of that. And I
Sure.
get a lot out of that as a business owner, especially of a business that operates like we do, in that, if you don't understand the life and death of an animal, just 10 million chickens die every day in this country, and they just killed one. A chicken's life has relative little worth, and they got to participate in that and see what the impact of one was, and what that means when you open a box and there's a dozen dead chickens in there, from a farmer. They just killed 12 chickens. And so it's just like, I hope that conveys, or every time you put a piece of meat on the grill, it's like, that was once alive. It wanted to be alive. It did not want to die, and so we can kind of continue to convey things like that. And like, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's like, yeah, eating tacos. Sometimes we'll send them to a movie that's like specific to food, or we'll, just like, it's all over the place. But everybody that's in the back of the house participates in this, and it's just a way of like doing something fun. We usually give them something. It could be an oyster knife and learn more about Texas oysters, or or here's a chicken, or here's a steak, or this or that. But like trying to do a little deep dive with some frequency in order to continually educate them. And I think that, I mean, it serves us, and it's paid itself back, tenfold, in that we have a staff that's really interested, and they're participating more, and we're teaching them. And every one of these lessons is meant to instill something about the restaurant. Like what does it mean? Like there was a we got really busy out of nowhere. Not I mean it was last year, and so it was just we were struggling to keep up, and we were having some bad customer experiences just because we had just gotten the Michelin Green Star, we just gotten something else I can't remember, and so a bunch of new people came, and we just got overwhelmed by it. And so, the lesson from that was, well, do we even understand what the customer experience is? Most of the people in the back of the house, they don't. They don't come and eat at the restaurant. And I was like, guys, come eat at the restaurant. Like bring somebody, come eat on us, get whatever you want. Front of the house too. We just like the entire staff. I was like, everybody come in and eat at this place and see like what did you think? Was there something wrong? Was everything fast? Is something under season? Like let us know. Like if you don't have that empathetic response or experience to what it's like to dine there, it's going to be harder for you to participate in that whole sequence. And so sometimes it's like something will come up and we'll be like, here, learn more about this. But at the end of the day, it's just like it's continually educating them and operating on the assumption that this is their vocation, and it's our job to make them as good as possible, even if and when they do leave to go somewhere else.